Fire types are among the rarest Pokemon in any Nuzlocke, and getting one can make or break your path to the Hall of Fame. Many of them hit hard and fast. They can boost their already powerful fire type attacks with Sunny Day, they'll keep you warm during the impending apocalypse, and they have a good range of resistances to common types, especially in the early game, giving them ample opportunities to safely switch in. So let's discuss the 7 best fire types you can get in a Nuzlocke. Why 7, you may ask? Well, why not? Get out of here! We're talking about fire types this week. Since in a Nuzlocke, you can only catch the first Pokemon you find on each route, in addition to a Pokemon's general utility, I'll also consider their rarity and opportunity cost when making my picks. Oh, and legendaries are disqualified. I know, it's a tragic day for the dozen of Moltres fans out there. If you like the idea for this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below with the type you want to see me cover next. Alright, let's talk about number 7, the original mother fluffer himself, Arcanine. Let me enjoy saying it the silly way, I need this. Kanto's non-legendary legendary Pokemon is one of the rare Gen 1ers that's managed to survive the franchise's relentless power creep without really any changes. The doggo's 555 base stat total alone is enough to consider him for a spot on this list. Plus, I gotta include him to count the $400 plushie as a tax write-off. Nelson needs a friend.
No, he doesn't!
You need to stop buying $400 plushies.
Arcanine's stat spread allows him to function as a bulky pivot as well as both a physical and special attacker, fulfilling multiple team roles simultaneously if needed. Generally, the pup is just a reliable all-purpose workhorse, the Clydesdale of Pokemon, if you will. In his home games, you'll almost assuredly get one from Kanto's Route 7 or 8, and then he'll instantly start paying dividends against Sterica, Koga, Sabrina, and Lorelei. Arcanine makes the perfect teammate for Bulbasaur playthroughs specifically, since he covers a lot of the threats that Venusaur struggles with after the early game, and he matches well into the 2 strongest Pokemon that your rival Blue will have in those runs, Exeggutor and Charizard, who, if Nintendo asks, is the #1 fire type on this list and my personal favorite Pokemon of all time. Can't bite the hand that feeds you. Authenticity is dangerous and expensive. But it's not all sunshine and daisies for the fluffy beast, and there's a few drawbacks that prevent him from being higher up on the list. First is the ability Coin Flip. Arcanine does get access to Intimidate, one of the best abilities in the entire game that drops an enemy's attack stat when switching in, but he only gets it 50% of the time. The other 50%, it's Flash Fire, which is completely useless save for very, very niche cases, and mostly just in ROM hacks where Intimidate would be even more beneficial than it is in the baseline games. While the big dog is by no means useless without Intimidate, I'm looking at you, Ekans. It does sting to instantly lose some major utility on a 50-50, or realistically a 90-10. Wait, has anyone ever actually seen an Arcanine with Intimidate, or is it one of those myths like the state of Iowa? The second issue with our fiery pup is that they're version exclusives in Kanto and Johto, meaning that if you're Nuzlocking Blue, Silver, Leaf Green, Soul Silver, or for some presumably serial killer related reason, Let's Go Eevee, you're SOL and forced to settle for the still good but notably worse alternative. The third issue is admittedly an every Roselia has its thorns type situation. Arcanine evolves from Growlithe with a Firestone, which is great because it means that you can get a monstrous Pokemon extremely early in almost every game that the fierce canines appear in. But it also means that, like most stone evolutions, Arcanine has an atrocious level up moveset until roughly Generation 8. The result is that there's a trade-off between evolving your Growlithe early for immediate power and waiting for him to learn a better move than Amber. And delaying evolution is always a risky wager, since Growlithe, though cute as a button, is not very good. My advice, it's usually better to evolve early. A weak Arcanine is better than a dead Growlithe every time. Plus, you can always teach him TMs, and as I said, this doesn't even matter in Generations 8 and 9, where you can get Flamethrower and Flare Blitz before the very first gym. Game balance is for suckers, and here at Game Freak, we ain't no suckers. From the oldest generation to the newest generation, my pick for number 6 is the Charcadet line. Now, admittedly, I've only used this guy in a Nuzlocke once, and Well, we don't speak ill of the dead, but if you can ignore the cold hard fact that Charcadet is probably just a toddler with violent tendencies dressed up in some Playmobil armor, he's yet another Pokemon that evolves via an item that's easily accessible early in the game. The sheer power that Armarouge and Scarlet, or Ceruledge and Violet can provide to your team is invaluable. Fire types are generally fantastic in Paldea for the entire playthrough. Both Charcadet evolutions have enough bulk to take out Brassius's Sudowoodo, who with Terra-boosted Trailblaze and Rock Throw is my pick for the toughest early game threat. Armarouge is a bit better here thanks to instant mystical fire access to take advantage of Pseudo's lackluster special defense. After that though, Ceruledge edges out Armarouge as the better of the two. A secondary ghost typing is phenomenal for the fights against Larry, Tulip, and Eerie specifically. Plus, Bitterblade's recovery means that Ceruledge has a way to easily restore any lost HP, like on a turn where you, I don't know, click Swords Dance and then sweep through an entire team. Regardless, both fire types are phenomenal for fights like Grusha and Poppy, so even if you pick Scarlet for Arven's hot mom, hypothetically of course, Charcadet is one of the best encounters you can get.
No, there's gotta be a way. Hey, Flygon, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm trying to figure out how to segue into the Holzkern sponsorship. They've got this great Mother's Day sale, but after calling Arven's mom hot, I can't figure out how to bring it up without sounding a little creepy.
I mean, couldn't you just cut the first bit? Joke's not even that funny.
I'm sorry, are you suggesting that I sacrifice my artistic vision? That I willingly lose humanity's most timeless battle? That between creative freedom and the shackles of commerce? Holzkern is an Austrian accessories company that specializes in one-of-a-kind products like watches and jewelry made from wood and other natural materials. Jokes aside, I love teaming up with Holzkern because they have tons of options that are perfect for anyone's personal style. I like my Antoninus watch with more casual outfits, and my Existential watch when I want a slightly fancier style. Holzkern even features products to match all 18 Pokemon types. This video is all about fire types, and if that's your favorite type, you might like the Superset bracelet made from black lava stone. Dana recently got the rock type themed Ida watch made from walnut and marble, and I got the dark type inspired Nightcall watch made from maple wood and midnight black steel. But whatever your favorite type is, Holzkern's got you covered. Plus, with free express worldwide shipping, products typically arriving within 2 to 5 business days, and every product coming with a 2-year guarantee, Holzkern is the perfect gift for any time of year. Still need to get a gift for Mother's Day? Or maybe you just want something special for yourself? Either way, you can use my code FLYGON to get 15% off site-wide on every unique product Holzkern has to offer. Thanks so much to Holzkern for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to it. Hey, remember when regional bird Pokemon used to be like Pidgeot and Noctowl? Their best moves were like Wing Attack and Air Slash. Well, in Generation 6, we got Talonflame, one of the best Pokemon in all of Kalos. While his stats aren't the most impressive, except for that busted speed stat, 1 point faster than Swellow? Why'd you have to do my boy dirty like that? Talonflame's utility as a Nuzlocke encounter comes from her ability to rip high base power attacks like Acrobatics, Brave Bird, and Flare Blitz, almost always doing so before the enemy can attack. With so much natural speed, those who play with effort values can afford to invest a lot of EVs into bulking up Talonflame's admittedly lackluster defenses. But this is somewhat mitigated with early level up access to Roost, at least in Generation 6 and 7. In competitive play, Talonflame gets a lot of utility from setting up priority Tailwind with her hidden ability Gale Wings, but in a Nuzlocke, you're unlikely to get a hidden ability outside of ROM hacks, and even then, Tailwind is significantly less useful in single battles. But with Talonflame's other ability, Flame Body, you can actually just spam Roost to fish for burns against otherwise problematic physical attackers. Or you could, just full send a Will-O-Wisp. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? In Kalos, Talonflame checks Viola, Karina, Ramos, Valerie, Wolfric, Wickstrom, and Diantha's Speedy Hawlucha. That's a hell of a lot of utility coming from a Route 1 encounter. The Fierce Predator is also great in Alola, serving as an excellent counter to the Totem Lurantis, who can't hit her for more than resisted damage, and in Paldea, where admittedly almost any fire type can run through large portions of both the early and late game. Just, be careful of rock type moves.
Hey, Rick. Yeah, that guy down there is looking at us pretty menacingly. Don't worry about that. Besides, he's just got one stone, and there's two of us.
Number 4 is one of the best weather setters in the game. Primal Groudon. No, it's Torkoal, the little tortoise that could. Introduced in Generation 3, Torkoal really rose to fame in Generation 7 when he was granted the ability Drought, allowing for instant access to the sunlight and turning his fire-type attacks into full-blown nukes. Weather control is one of the most broken tools that a Nuzlocker can have in their arsenal, allowing them to not only boost their own Pokemon, but often nerfing their opponents at the same time, and not needing to waste a turn to do so is extremely useful. With Sun-Up, fire types effectively lose their weakness to water type attacks, making them much more manageable. In the mainline games, instances of the enemy using weather are far less ubiquitous than in ROM hacks, but there are still a few occasions where Torkoal can really help out. In Sword and Shield, for example, weather control is critical for dealing with powerful Dynamax attacks. In the Champion Cup, Nessa has a Drizzle Pelipper, and Raihan has a Rain Dancing Goodra that can support themselves and or their teammates. Plus a sun-boosted Max Flare off of Eruption. Pretty sure that's what killed the dinosaurs. Of course, like our number 7 slot, Drought is a 50-50 coin flip, but Torkoal's alternate ability White Smoke is also pretty good. Being immune to stat drops means that the Terrapin is much less prone to the RNG that can plague slower Pokemon who are forced to take more hits than their speedy, hard-hitting counterparts. Nothing feels worse than coming in on a crunch and then getting hit with an unexpected defense drop that puts you into range of a critical hit. Torkoal is also great in his original games even before the Drought buff. While he won't be of much help against the water-plagued late game of Emerald, he's one of the few perfect checks against Norman's slacking, since he gets level up access to Protect and early Flamethrower. With a ridiculous base 140 defense, this thing is also great against the rest of Norman's team, as well as pretty much every other physical attacker you'll encounter, including Steven's Steel types if you're playing Ruby and Sapphire or their remakes. Yep, you can call him John Glenn because Torkoal's got the right stuff to make an impact guaranteed. Okay, number 3 is a bit of a cheat, but what's the point of making a list without spitting in the face of Reginald E. List, father of the modern list, by doubling up in a few slots? Or in this case, quadrupling up. Number 3 is 4 fire-type starters: Infernape, Delphox, Incineroar, and Scarlet. Otherwise, this list would be like 50% starters. All 4 of these fellas are phenomenal starter choices and a great way to instantly guarantee an otherwise elusive fire type. The remaining fire type starters are either notably worse than at least one of their counterparts, generally mediocre, ugly, or all 3. Fine, Tepig is actually quite good against the gym leaders in the black and white early game, which has notoriously few encounters until getting to Nimbasa City, so good for him. Infernape, the best of the firefighting type starters, is a great choice for Sinnoh playthroughs, and basically your only choice for a fire type. What, are you gonna use Ponyta with that Unova-ass evolution level? Of course not. Now, by picking Chimchar, you will struggle against Rourke more so than Turtle and Penguin runners, but Chimchar does evolve at level 14 and gets Mach Punch, allowing him to at least put up a fight, especially against the Cranidos. After that, though, Ape can sweep through Gardenia, Byron, Candace, and Aaron, in addition to being a phenomenal check against Cyrus's Weavile, Lucian's Bronzong, kind of, and Cynthia's Roserade and Lucario. Delphox is a speedy, powerful fire psychic type that has good matchups into Viola, Karina, Ramos, Clement, Valerie, Wolfric, and Wickstrom. Plus, it means that your rival won't have Delphox, which makes the 63 matchups against them significantly more manageable. Incineroar, even without his hidden ability Intimidate, is a tank of a Pokemon with access to very powerful physical attacks. Dark types are a dime a dozen in Alola, but they're also quite good, especially for that pesky Ultra Necrozma fight. Incineroar's also got solid matchups against the Totem Marowak and Lurantis, both of which are among the hardest in the game. He can also check big threats like the Totem Togedemaru, the Totem Mimikyu, the Totem Rabombi, Guzma's Vikavolt, Lucamine's Lilligant, and Molane's, well, most of Molane's steel types, but notably his Metagross. So despite some speed issues, which will feel especially brutal in the Ultra games where many enemy trainers have Pokemon with maxed out speed, Incineroar will be consistently useful throughout your entire playthrough. And then there's Scarlet, who may very well be the best of these 4 starters, and gets a bonus for the cute little bird on his snout. Like with Ceruledge, a Fire Ghost typing is phenomenal, but where Ceruledge needs a turn to set up with Swords Dance before sweeping, Scarlet can actually set up while sweeping with Torch Song. Ridiculous move. I don't know what they were thinking. Oh right, they weren't. With Flame Charge to mitigate speed issues and Solid Bulk to avoid otherwise deadly Okos from neutral critical hits, there's very little that can stop a well-planned Scarlet sweep. Which begs the question, what could possibly be better than the fantastic power of 4 Fire-type starters? Monkey. On steroids. The general archetype of a Fire-type Pokemon is sheer power over anything else. They can usually hit really hard and tend to just rely on their high base power Fire-type moves to deal with any potential threats. Think Fire Blast, Overheat, Burn Up, Eruption, Flare Blitz. What the hell is Raging Fury? And that's not even mentioning the legendary and mythical exclusive moves. Anyways, Darmanitan takes that concept to the absolute limit. This thing is a monster with one purpose: to click Sheer Force boosted Flare Blitzes off of a 140 base attack stat. Some quick math for you: with the 30% boost from Sheer Force, Flare Blitz has a 156 base power, which is higher than every other overpowered Fire-type move I just mentioned, other than V-Create. Sure, you do take recoil, so you gotta be careful, but in many matchups, a 97.5 base power Fire Punch can do the job instead. It does take a while to get Darmanitan online, and before that, Darumaka, with the never reliable, always frustrating ability Hustle, is aggressively useless. But once you've got the big red monkey, it's pretty much GG's for your opponent. Darmanitan does work against Skyla, Bryson, pretty much the entire Elite Four, and Getsis, Colress, Zinzalin, the list goes on and on. You're not guaranteed to get one, but with 2 chances on Route 4 and the Desert Resort, it's likely that Darmanitan will be carrying you to victory through Unova. Before I reveal my number 1 pick, let's discuss a few honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list and explain why. Like Torkoal, Ninetales is a great drought user and has enough speed to instantly take advantage of her boosted Fire-type attacks, but sadly Drought is her hidden ability, and unlike her version exclusive counterpart, she's not nearly as bulky or powerful to coast on Flash Fire alone. Houndoom is another Pokemon that fits the raw firepower archetype, though he has the misfortune of debuting before Game Freak's most egregious examples of power creep. Still, 110 special attack hits hard, a secondary dark type is great for more reliable switch-ins, and an evolution level of just 24 is great for overpowering the early to mid game. What holds Houndoom back is that he's completely inaccessible in Johto playthroughs until the post-game, despite, being a Johto Pokemon. And his level up movesets lean heavily towards the physical side for some reason. Did you know that Houndoom has never been able to learn a special Dark-type move by level up? Well, except for in Gens 2 and 3 when all Dark-type moves were special, but yeah, it's a crime that this beast of a Pokemon can't learn Dark Pulse by level up. Similar to Houndoom, Pyroar and Salazzle are both speedy special attackers. Compared to Houndoom though, Pyroar has a much later evolution level, worse type coverage, and a mediocre selection of inconsistent abilities. Well, Houndoom has that last one too. Twins! Pyroar is a classic case of a Pokemon that's terrifying when your NPC opponent has one, but terrifyingly bad when you have one. Salazzle, while quite powerful with a very cool dual typing, is disqualified by 88% of all Salandites being male simps that can't evolve. My final honorable mentions are the 2 bug fire types, Volcarona and Centiskorch. Volcarona is incredible, but evolves at level 70, so other than the one static one in Black 2 and White 2, you're never never using one in a baseline Nuzlocke. And even in the Unova sequels, he's absolutely screwed by his level up moveset. Literally, his best fire-type moves are Ember and Flame Charge until you get the Heat Wave move tutor in Humalau City right before the 8th gym leader, or the Flamethrower TM en route to the Pokemon League. Centiskorch, while not nearly as powerful as Volcarona, is certainly more reliable, with an early-ish evolution level, decent bulk, a banger mustache, and respectable offensive stats. But at least in my opinion, he just doesn't shine brightly enough to warrant making this list. So for the number 1 slot, what's better than a fluffy dog, 2 D&D characters, a big bird, a little turtle, 4 starters, and an all-powerful Flare Blitz spamming ape? Lamp. Dead Lamp. Not only is Chandelure the best fire-type Pokemon for a Nuzlocke, if you watched my video on the best Nuzlocke encounters from every generation, you'll know that she's also one of the best Nuzlocke encounters in all of Unova, in my opinion. Chandelure has a base attack stat of 145. Oh, you wanted me to keep going? Okay, well, this is basically a special attacking Darmanitan, except that Chandelure's secondary ghost typing allows her to switch into normal and fighting type attacks for free. It also gives her Stab Shadow Ball to eviscerate the likes of Caitlyn and Chantel. And unlike every other entry on this list, except the starters, Chandelure happens to be a guaranteed encounter, at least in the Unova games where you can get her in Celestial Tower. But even in Galar and Alola, she's theoretically guaranteed, appearing in the Motostoke Gym and through Island Scanner respectively. Because Unovan evolution levels are a disaster, Chandelure won't be as useful in later generations as she is in her home games, and ghost types do struggle a little bit in generations 6 through 8, where a lot of Pokemon have powerful dark type moves. Plus, with just 80 base speed, you will need to be a little careful against faster opponents, especially if you're playing without EVs, and particularly against ghost types who can threaten you with a critical hit OHKO. But Chandelure's unholy ability to rip through teams and also provide excellent pivot support if needed makes her hands down one of the best Pokemon in the entire franchise. Let me know what you think about my choices and which fire types you would pick as the best Nuzlocke encounters. I already asked you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, so I won't do that again. That'd be desperate. Stay tuned for more Nuzlocke content, and until then, remember to always, always, always play around the critical hit.